The National Endowment for the Arts did a study which showed that teenagers with low socioeconomic status or those facing disadvantages due to race and gender earn better grades and have higher rates of college enrollment if they also have an in-depth involvement with the arts. My guest in this episode is Corey Cheval, owner of Gainesville Circus Center in Florida, which offers classes in aerial skills, flying trapeze, acro dance, and other styles. Corey and I talked about how she was once a wayward teen herself, and how she's incorporated the life lessons that dance taught her into the classes and workshops she teaches today. This, of course, became very challenging to do in 2020 when forced to hold smaller classes and virtual classes, but she continues to fight on and ensure her students have a place to be and something to belong to while the rest of the world is turned upside down. Today in 2021, she and her students are looking forward to their first outdoor socially distanced performance that will happen in March. Now let's meet Corey and hear how she's battled COVID-19 in the spiritual realm. How are you doing, Corey?
I'm doing well, thank you.
All right, fantastic. Thanks for joining me. Hey, Corey, why don't we start by you just telling me a bit about yourself and the origins of circus arts?
Well, my name's Corey Cheval, and I am the founder and director of the Gainesville Circus Center, which is a 501c3 circus school in Gainesville, Florida. I have been an aerial arts and dance teacher for over 15 years, and founding the Circus Center has been the culmination of that work over the years here in Gainesville. The Gainesville Circus Center teaches aerial trapeze, silks, lyra, flying trapeze, equestrian arts, and we also put on performances in our community. And we believe that the practice of performing arts, any arts, but our focus is circus, enhances the lives not only of people who practice it, but also people in our community that get to share in the work that we do.
Absolutely. Obviously, you must be a performing artist yourself, right?
Yes, my background is in contemporary dance. I studied through high school and college. I have a BA in modern dance, and I also practiced Brazilian martial arts, capoeira, for many years, and actually moved to Brazil to study capoeira, and that's where I fell in with the circus. I trained at the Picolino Circus in Salvador, Bahia, and then while I was living in Bahia, getting my master's of fine arts at the Federal University of Bahia, and then training capoeira and training circus arts there before I moved back to the US and started really working with circus arts and continuing with Brazilian dance.
Okay, wow. That's a fantastic story. So tell me what a circus is in Brazil. What is, let's try and clarify. Is this kind of like a Cirque du Soleil? Is it like a traditional circus? Is there something we haven't seen in the US?
Yeah, the circus I was involved in there, and at that time it was a small part of what I did because I was a grad student. Most of my work was, all tied up in school. So I was just starting taking 2 classes a week. But the Piccolino is a traditional family circus, and they have recreational classes for the community. So that's how I got started.
Okay.
And then when I came back to the US, I worked, I trained with a former Ringling artist who happened to live near where I lived in Florida, Lynn Polk, who continues to work with me to this day. Trained under her for a little bit. Then I moved out to California and worked with a nonprofit social circus called Fern Street in San Diego. And that was my first experience with a nonprofit social circus, which is what the Gainesville Circus Center is today.
Okay, great. You must have a location or a studio where you train your students, correct?
Yes, thankfully, we just reopened after a 6-month closure in a new location. So before the pandemic, we were in a warehouse downtown Gainesville. It wasn't an ideal location, but it did get us off the ground. And then we had to close honestly, I thought we would be closed for a lot longer. However, this better facility suddenly became available. It is quite difficult to find spaces that are adequate for training aerial arts. So the right space came along, and then we got the government support that we needed to make the move. So we decided to take a chance and go ahead and reopen, even though the pandemic is still affecting us all.
Right, right. So when you say reopen, are you able to take in students? Are you able to have them in your location?
Yes, we are having live in-person classes, but we have greatly reduced capacity and increased our sanitization efforts. Our students and staff wear masks while they're training. So things have changed, but we are doing live classes.
Right. So being an educational institution and a 501c3, do you get more leniency from the government than, say restaurants and other event venues?
Well, that's interesting. I haven't talked to business owners in other fields. I've only talked to other aerial schools, and this is the only aerial school in our city, so I can't compare locally. But at the beginning of the pandemic, we had the police visit our studio to make sure that we weren't seeing clients. And I know of at least one other boutique fitness center that had that happen to them.
Wow.
And then some of the larger organizations in my community did not get police visits. So who knows what's going on there? I just know that we were told in no uncertain terms to stop seeing clients.
Okay. So what did you have to do to reopen? Did you have to petition? Did you have to speak to somebody?
Well, the ban was lifted in our city. I want to say in May or June. I can't remember exactly. But we did online classes for about 6 weeks. So my staff were allowed to still work, and they would go into the studio and record Zoom classes. That went not great. We had a couple people signing up. The quality of production was very poor. We weren't prepared or set up for that. We were literally just trying to scotch tape our business together in a crisis. And
Right.
yeah, I would say we did some crummy online classes, and I wouldn't want to take them. I hated teaching them.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, people come to us for the community. They come to us for the equipment. So we couldn't even offer aerial classes, which is what people come to us for. We did, conditioning, fitness, flexibility, that kind of thing. And then whenever businesses were allowed to reopen at reduced capacity, we had already decided that we couldn't afford to stay in our facility, because even reopening, people just weren't going to come back. I mean, my clients are the type of people who are going to respect social distancing and wear masks and stay home at all costs. So we moved out of our facility and set up our flying trapeze rig, which is a piece of equipment we'd had in storage for some time. It's a very large outdoor recreational activity. So we set that up over the summer and held flying trapeze classes over the summer, and also installed a couple pieces of equipment in a friend's Pilates studio, so that we didn't have to bear the burden of maintaining our own space. We could still have a couple classes a week, but even those classes had a maximum capacity of 4 people. So it's really, from a business standpoint, not sustainable, but it kept us with a presence in our community.
Sure. So what's the typical size of a class?
Well, right now it's 8 to 10 students. Before it was up to 16. and we may go back to higher numbers in the future. Sometimes we have two classes going on at once, so we can't have a high number of students when there's two classes going on.
Right.
And it depends on the type of class, how many spotters are needed.
Right. Okay. And what is the age group of your typical student?
We used to teach from ages 4 and up, and then I have all the way up to senior citizens. We're on an all ages activity. After coming back from being closed for so long, some of my younger kids hadn't come back. So right now we're working with ages 6 and up. So our kids program is ages 6 to 12, and then teens and adults are all together in the adult classes.
Okay, great. So tell me a little bit about this program that you have working with at-risk youth.
Right. So one of our missions as a nonprofit is to provide access to the arts. So we have a collaboration with a local elementary school, Rawlings Elementary, and we chose to work with them because they are 95% people of color enrollment and 100% lower income. So it's the perfect population to address. And they also, the school is located close to our facility, so that's convenient. So we spoke with the principal about offering scholarships to their students, and let the principal's arts administration coordinate who they thought were appropriate for our program. We went in and did a free demonstration for all of their students, which is something we would like to continue doing on a regular basis, just, you know, showing up and providing a circus experience for their students. We gave out passes for one free class to all of the students, and then we offered 20 scholarships to their students. And just as those scholarship students were about to start training with us, the pandemic hit and we closed. Yeah. So once the schools got back in session, it was still a little while before we got their scholarship students in working with us, just because public schools had so much work to do to get reorganized and operational. And then we did have to lower the number of scholarship students we can accept because we've lowered our capacity in every way. But we do have some of their students training with us, attending our school holiday camps, which we offer every school holiday, and winter break, spring break, over the summer, etc. And from the student surveys we've had, they are all loving it and doing well.
Yeah, fantastic. So when you say scholarship, is this something that the government helps you out with? Is there a criteria for earning that scholarship?
Yeah, so there's an income-based, need-based criteria, and preference for students of color or non-binary gender identifying students.
Yeah.
Who may experience some kind of discrimination at school.
Right. So there was something I read on your website, which I thought was really powerful. And I'm going to read it back. It is bettering their physical, mental, social, and spiritual self. You're talking about the benefits of this kind of program for your students, and really anything related to arts. It's such a powerful statement because, I mean, I was lucky enough that when I was in high school, we had a full music program. We had 3 different bands, meaning the orchestra, jazz band, we had a marching band, we had a choir, and they had instruments, and people had some place to go. People had something to do before school, after school, weekends. We would do trips, and just over the last 20 years, we saw the funding for that strip away. And I've always felt that if you give kids a productive way to express themselves, explore who they are, their own identity, they're going to just become better human beings as they grow up.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and that's initially why I pursued the arts as a career. I was wayward teenager at one point in my life, and I think dance saved my life. It gave me something to live for every day and something to love and be passionate about, and taught me real discipline. And I think that having a focus and a discipline and learning to manage your time and your energy in a even in just the space of an hour class is going to help young people in every facet of their life. So there's the physical discipline of training, because it's very intense training, but it's also very exciting and fun. So kids tend to overlook the fact that it's hard because it's also exciting. And then the aspect of working in community, but a lot of it is group work, although that's had to change with the pandemic. We still do things in group. And their classes, they're in their own age group. But then when we do big performances, we have kids working with adults and everyone is treated the same. The kids are expected to step up and be as mature as the adults. And the adults who may or may not have ever worked with kids are expected to be patient and, take them under their wing and help guide the younger ones. So, I think that's a really valuable experience for all of those involved.
Oh,
And then,
absolutely.
on the spiritual level, like that's, everyone has their own perspective on that, but I just think it's good for the heart, good for the soul to be able to express yourself.
Well, yeah. And having involvement in, well, you could say it's like a team. When you feel like you're part of a team, you don't want to let down the team. You want to do your best and you want the team to succeed. And it also gives you a feeling of belonging and accomplishment when your team completes something or improves upon something, or you know what I'm saying? It's really transformative. I believe so.
Yes. I do too. That's why I'm in it to this day.
Right. And here's the other thing. I spent a lot of time in the corporate world. You can't imagine the amount of money companies spend on trying to teach people how to get along with each other, how to communicate in teams, how to work together, how to identify each other's personality and express yourself in a certain formatted way. Oh my God, it's so much BS. Just
Yeah.
go play with a band, go play with a dance troupe, just, be involved with other people and figure out how are we going to create this beautiful thing together. We all have to be present. We have to be aware of each other. And you just naturally want to do your best because you want it to be stellar. You want to impress, your friends, your parents, whoever supported you, and make them feel proud.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about how you've survived during 2020. You already mentioned you experimented with doing online classes. That didn't work. You found some ways to keep some classes going. What do you think is going to keep you alive for this year? And do you think there are other opportunities that you've discovered as to how you can operate your business and you can still teach your classes in the way that you would like people to be engaged with them?
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned, we did open our flying trapeze rig, which is an outdoor activity. And I think moving forward, outdoor classes are always going to be a win. However, in Florida, we have to deal with rain and intense heat. So, that's not always the answer. So with our indoor classes, we have the increased sanitization and lower numbers, which I think is going to be fine for a while. I think that'll hold us through. What's really saved my business is being really meticulous and organized about accounting and my office management, because every time those opportunities for government grants have come along, I've had all of my paperwork ready to go in order and gotten that money very quickly. Plus, I had already been working on other non-disaster related grants for my organization that came through that we had intended to use to expand our program. But right now they're just maintaining our program, which is great. I'm glad they're there. So I'm a trained artist, but I've spent the last 10 years learning to manage a business, and it's really paying off this year.
Sure. Right.
And then as far as our performances with the community, We did a live stream show back in May, which was beautiful. It was very well produced, but as performers, um, it's it was like doing live stream classes. It's just very cold. It's not terribly fulfilling. There's no interaction or audience feedback. So we recently got a grant again from our county to put on a drive-in circus. So we are producing our first drive-in circus March 5th and 6th. So the audience there'll be a little bit of a barrier because the audience will be in their cars, but at least they'll be there. So we're very excited to be putting that on. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. If all goes well, hopefully we'll be doing this as an annual event.
Oh, that sounds cool. So yeah, they've started doing live drive-in concerts, like music concerts here in California. And I haven't been to one yet, but I'd go. I'm curious to go. I think it would be cool, especially if you can go with a few of your friends. And from what I've heard, people don't really sit in their cars. They maybe get out on the hood so they can hear the music better. And it's almost like a tailgate party, So, yeah, so that sounds cool. So what do you think was the biggest lesson learned for you as a business owner in 2020? Obviously, you talked about all the tactical maneuvers you had to make, and challenges that you didn't expect, just operationally. But on a personal level, is there anything you think, okay, this is something I'm never going to forget?
I think the biggest impact this has had on me is seeing how much of a community this work has already built, because when we had to pack up our studio and move it into storage and then set it all up again and shift tactics left and right, I had a team of people and volunteers and people bringing their friends and husbands and whoever to come help and do all this work, because I certainly didn't do much of it. I spent most of the pandemic being pregnant, so I was not moving equipment and hauling stuff around. So yeah, my community really got together and showed up and did the work to keep this thing afloat, and that just makes my heart really happy to know that it's gonna keep moving on because the people want it to.
Absolutely. So you feel like it's strengthened the community of your students, their families, and whoever else was a supporter of your school.
Yes, it's actually strengthened the spirit of circus in our community, even if we've had to hold back on what we can physically do.
Oh, look at that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Hey, Corey, thanks so much for sharing your story with us. Tell everyone how they can find out about circus arts. Go ahead and plug your websites and also any events that you have coming up.
So you can find us at GainesvilleCircus.com. We are also a member of the ICO ACE organization. That's the American Youth Circus Organization. So if you are not in Gainesville, you can find a circus near you through them. We have our first ever drive-in circus coming up March 5th and 6th in Gainesville, Florida, and you can get tickets on our website. We will have spring and summer student showcases at our facility, and we'll be putting on our annual country circus at Two Hawk Hammock in Williston, which has always been an outdoor event. So it is already socially distanced and perfectly COVID safe for you to enjoy.
All right, fantastic. Well, and also, what a great excuse to pack up the kids in the car and take a little road trip down to Gainesville, Florida in March, and you can still attend an outdoor event. Everybody, I think, is overdue for a vacation, a family trip. So there's a good excuse to get out of the house. And secondly, being a 501c3, I'm guessing that anyone can donate and just support you. They can do that from your website, correct?
Absolutely. There is a donate button on our homepage, And your donations go directly to supporting our youth circus program, allowing us to provide scholarships and do more outreach in our community with the people who need it most.
All right. Well, thanks again, Corey. It was really great talking to you. I wish you great success. You just keep plugging away.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.